Alright, so, a Nuzlocke is a set of rules in the Pokemon community that you can use to make your game a lot harder. Kinda like a challenge run. So we're doing that today, but in Miitopia. This is my Miitopia Nuzlocke. Our adventure starts out in Greenhorn, where we don't talk to any of the locals and just flat out lie to the mayor. Then the Dark Lord just comes out and be like, haha, I be evil, and then steals most of the faces in Greenhorn except for like 4 because plot convenience. And now the mother wants me to go save her child, so I become a wizard in the meantime to save her child. Cool. So we meet some new people, and we're freeing faces left and right. There. And then it came. The first difficult boss of the run. It probably shouldn't come as a surprise that this boss fight is very, very difficult for an early boss, because it is supposed to be the introduction to life sprinkles, because it's supposed to teach you how life sprinkles work by hitting super hard, because this thing hits like a goddamn brick. It deals so much damage to your fairly weak level 5 team, and you always have to switch them in and out of the safe spot and sprinkle them if you wanna. Honestly, you should really pay attention to their health and save spot. You should constantly be switching them in and out of the save spot if you want to get past this battle without losing a team member. This was a 6-minute long battle, and I definitely made a mistake by not killing the 2 slime jellies, but I really wanted to kill the imp first because that thing deals the most damage. The slime jellies don't really deal that much, but I suggest you kill them because otherwise they're going to chip away at your team and kill you. This boss fight is really difficult for a beginner, or like a beginning of the game boss, but it is really fun, I will say that. It is really tense, really nerve-wracking, but it is fun, and I like that. Some questionable casting later, we're at Greenhorn Palace with Greenhorn King, and his face flies right off his head right as we speak with him. So, we gotta go after it. And it turns out his boss is actually pretty difficult. King Golem isn't really that hard, mainly because if you have a level 8 team and a mage, you're pretty much set because you can just continuously fire it. It doesn't have like many other like sidekicks, I'll say, like kinda like the slime jellies that the imp has. This one doesn't have that, it's just itself. But my god does it hit hard. This thing deals like 15 to 16 to 17 damage to your team that has like 28 HP. So you should really always be on top of the health department and always put them in the safe spot, always sprinkle them. Even if you only have like 25 HP sprinkles. This boss does go by way faster than the imp. This only took me like 3 minutes. But still, it takes a bit, and you really gotta be on top of the HP gain because this thing hits really hard. So after I did that, the princess wants me to check on her secret pathetic lover, who's saving a child that I save instead because it's pathetic. And then the king wants me to go after her fiancé in quotation marks because he's a piece of shit. So I take the piece of shit over to the castle, where the piece of shit and the pathetic one fight, and then I'm supposed to go after a fruit that calms them down, so I go to do that, but when I come back the princess's face is gone, but not the shitty one and the pathetic one. So I am the one that has to go in the Tower of Nightmares and save the princess. Cool, amazing, yay. General fight really isn't that hard. I'll say it, it's not hard. Honestly, it's maybe because I knew Enlarge Weapon and that helped deal some more damage, but honestly, it's practically just King Golem again, but with a multi-hit attack, which the multi-hit attack almost killed Polly. Huh. But other than that, we're fine. Everything is fine. And with that, we finished Greenhorn. That's it, that's all that there is to Greenhorn. It's next door time now, and I do not have good hopes. One friend kidnapping and job switching session later, we arrive in Next Door Desert. Alright, so, new friend, Great Sage wants a lamp. New friend, we find a lamp, due to Prince piece of shit. And then we go to Next Door Desert where we find out the genie has stolen everyone's belongings, so we go after him. Cool! Then we find the genie, and we force them to give their people their stuff back. But surprise, the Dark Lord attacks, and everybody's faces, except for like 2 people because plot convenience, are gone. So now, I have to go do that with my new chef powers. Cool! At first, I was very worried about this fight, because originally when I played through Next Door on my own time, this world kicked my butt. Every single boss except for the Cobra, which I didn't include in this video because it was way too easy, kicked my ass, and I was really scared that I would just lose the Nuzlocke here. But, I asked my friend, because I was on a call with him, and he was like, hey, check the internet to see how much HP and attack it has. And then I realized it can 2-shot 2 of my team members. Not 2-shot, 1-shot 2 of my team members. 2-shot the other 2. And then I was immediately like, hey, this thing can 1-shot half of my team? And then he said, do it anyway, you got no other better choices. So then I did it and completed it without much issue. Talk about worrying too much. And now as for the fight itself, it really wasn't that bad. You just have to pay attention to the sprinkles and use the save spot if you run out. That's literally it, because it has the multi-hit attack and it uses that quite a lot, but it doesn't deal that much damage. Sometimes does 2 hits in a row. So all you gotta do is really just sprinkle and put them in a save spot whenever their HP is at like in the 10s. Other than that, you're good to go. Original playthrough that I did just on my own, I went for the Great Pyramid as soon as it was available to me, and I remember dying to this painting boss so many goddamn times that I just kinda gave up on the game for like a week and then didn't play just because I was like, I'm not gonna play because I'm just gonna lose to this freaking painting. So, before this fight, I grinded out my relationship level with the horse until I got level 15 so I could do horseplay. And that knocked down half of its HP with just one move, so yeah, this boss was pretty easy. Most of the time is known as one of the hardest battles in the first half of Miitopia. The Pharaoh is actually not that bad in this run, surprisingly. His curse practically just forces you to put someone in the safe spot, but with how much he attacks you, you practically put them in the safe spot anyway, so there's not even a point to the curse because you're just gonna put them immediately in the safe spot and you're gonna be fine. Also, Chef's horseplay helped a shit ton. Overall, this boss was actually really challenging, but it wasn't near as bad as many people describe it to be. Most people say this is one of the hardest bosses in the first half, but it really wasn't that bad. If this is one of the hardest, then this run's gonna be really easy from now on because this was not that bad. With that, we're not done with Next Door Desert, which honestly, I was expecting cold, miserable failure the second I stepped into that pyramid because the first time I played through it, it whooped my ass. But I got through it, not without that much hustle. Mainly because of Chef's horseplay, I will say that. Chef's horseplay helped out a shit ton in every single fight. Anyway, that's it. Realm of the Phase up next, and I have high hopes for this one. One friend kidnapping and discovery of the wigs and makeup section later, we arrive in Realm of the Fae. Here we go! Alright, so, we arrive, our eyes burn, new friend, Grace Age asks me how I'm doing, I take the anime hair off and officially become Mr. Dr. Professor Dan, granted relationship levels a bit too much, I go to the retreat, some elf lady screaming at me that her sisters are gone, so I go after one, new friend, and then we get to the boss fight. Finally some action! This fight wasn't really as hard as it was probably supposed to be because at the very first turn I had access to the horse, which immediately meant I could use Science's horseplay, which immediately just drained half of its health and the little side things. The second half was way more tedious because it kept spewing out little spiders, but that wasn't really that bad since I already needed to heal anyway, so why not just use the save spot, not waste sprinkles, and get rid of the little spiders. Overall, this fight wasn't that bad, it's just, it dragged on a little bit in the second half. Right, so now that I saved the middle sister with the young sister goes back, and I have to travel with the middle sister to save the big sister in Big G Forest. Let's go do that now. There is absolutely nothing worth mentioning about this fight because I got Science's horseplay twice, which absolutely just murdered it right in the spot. With just a little help from Quina and Matt, it was gone in no time. So after getting to see these in this dance that I sped up to 600%, they opened the door to the Dark Lord, stealing everyone's faces in the Elven Retreat except for like 3 people because plot convenience again. So, now we have to go do that. Let's go do that now. Originally, I was very relaxed going into Tomato Bros because I was like, this is just gonna be a chill, easy fight. I'm just gonna go in, kill them, get out, easy. But then this happened. So now I have to say that yes, I am allowing life sprinkles. I was really hoping to go past the whole run without having to use life sprinkles, but I'm going to use them. But I'm not using any other form of revival besides resurrection from clerics and life sprinkles. Nothing else is going to be used. Okay, cool. Next fight. Just like Tomato Bros, I was very relaxed going into the butterfly fight. Mostly because, well, it's just a normal fight, and at this point I had every single face rescue apart from 2. This one and the frog. So I went from this one to have an opportunity to level up for the frog, and then this happened. Life sprinkle use number 2, baby. Other than that, there's nothing worth noting about this fight. It's just Matt died, but I revived him. Okay, next. Like the Tomato Bros and the Butterfly, I was actually very worried for the Frog boss fight. So worried, in fact, that before I grinded out the roulette just to be able to get some EXP for my team to level most of them up to level 11. And honestly, I kinda just totally whoops his ass. Only one teammate ever got even close to like in the red HP, and even then I just used sprinkles. At some point the elf lady used healing melody, which helped a lot because it just saved me some sprinkles. But at the same time, I just horseplayed at the very beginning and got like a third of his damage down in one shot. So needless to say, the frog wasn't bad at all. It was challenging, but it wasn't bad, and none of my teammates even died. So that's cool. And with that, we're out of Realm of the Fae. And something I noticed is when I entered next door, I said that I didn't have high hopes, but then I just went through it without any issues. And then when I said that I have high hopes for Realm of the Fae at the end of next door, I got my ass waxed twice. So I have low hopes for Carcaton. One friend kidnapping and job keeping session later, we arrive in what everything has been building up towards, Carcaton Volcano. This is gonna be something, isn't it? Alright, so, we arrive, we get traumatized, and we go on a mission to not get traumatized. And I immediately go for Polly. Here's how that went. Luckily, the first 3 teammate boss fights change health depending on in what order you fight them in, so this one was naturally just really easy to just help me get back up on my feet after I lost my teammates. Really nothing to say here since I just had access to Science's horseplay, which just drained half of its health in one shot. Okay, next. Boss fight was actually much harder than I first expected it to be, because on the very first turn I had access to Science's horseplay, which drained a quarter of its life. Yeah, a quarter. Which automatically made me a bit worried because, well, it was only a quarter and that was like almost 200 damage. So for the rest of the fight, me, Great Sage, and Polly would just kind of chip away at it and sprinkle me and Polly every single time the Pain God actually attacked us. It was more tedious than it was hard, but still. honest, I didn't expect the Burning Golem boss fight to be as hard as it was, solely because I just waited the entire game, just sprinkling myself MP after every single attack, just praying for the horse, so I could do Scientist Horseplay, but the horse never really came to my rescue. Also, this thing hits like a friggin' brick and has AoE, so I did like a little bit of a strategy where I put Polly in the safe side because she's in the middle, so that whenever he attacks, he can't do AoE, because if he hits Sakura, the AoE won't get to me, and if he hits me, the AoE won't get to Sakura. It was basically just a really drawn-out boss of just constantly hitting it with glitch and lightning from the Great Sage, and just praying for the horse. It was hard, but we got past it. Also, I almost ran out of HP sprinkles, so there's that. So after we saved those 3 people, the Gift of Divine Power Be Who You Wanna Be unlocks. I went for Mage, because I just like Mage the most as a job, and I'm just used to it, and I just play it well. And then there was the Cerberus Battle. The Cerberus is probably the hardest battle we've had to face in this run up until this point. Let me tell you. Okay, so immediately, Hyper Sprinkles. I hyper every single member of my team except for myself, and then I get an opportunity to use Mage's Horseplay. So I do that, and it doesn't deal nearly enough damage to validate like 60 MP. So, this thing has a Nightmare attack that lures me into a Nightmare. It has a Fire attack, an Ice attack, and a Normal attack. And let me tell you, the Fire and Ice attacks have AoE. I ran out of HP sprinkles halfway through, and the only attack that I could use that consistently dealt damage to one single target that wasn't the Great Sage's lightning was Fire from the Mage. Holy hell, this boss fight was so long. It's the second longest boss fight of this run, outside of the Imp, all the way back in Greenhorn. This one took 5 minutes, the Imp took 6 minutes. And my god, it was just a slog to get through. I ran out of HP sprinkles really early, so I couldn't just use HP sprinkles. I had to resort to using the save spot for healing in like the final bit. My god, this was super hard, but now we actually have a good team on our hands. Was it worth it? Yes. Because now we have Rin and Steve, and we have a decent team now. Okay, so after that, the 3 teammates that we literally just rescued inform us that the last 3, Karina, Alex, and Luca, in my case, are in the Dark Lord's castle. Let's go save them so we can finally kick the Dark Lord's butt. It's harder than I originally expected it to be, because at the very beginning I just hypered every single member of my team. And once the hyper wore off on all 4, I checked the HP, and the demon was like really low. It took like 3/4 of its health in like one thing. But the problem is the imps were barely touched at all, and that's practically what kept this fight being so hard and so long. It's the fact that me being that big of an idiot and not killing the imps, that's what kept the fight going, because the imps just keep on dealing damage to my team, and turning some people evil in the process, which was really annoying. But still, it was a hard boss fight solely just because the imps just kept dealing damage to me, and my idiot self just kept targeting the demon instead of the imps. I won though, no deaths, but still, I was just being an idiot. I'll say it right here, this boss, easy peasy. I literally just hypered every single one of my teammates, which was just 3, all at once, and then they knocked like 80% of its HP down until the hyper wore off, and then after that it was just kind of some unstable formulas with Steve, and then that's it. I won really, really easily. The armor boss fight isn't really that bad, mainly because I got to use Mage's Horseplay twice. Plus, the big relationship bonuses with Karina and Polly really helped out here. And honestly, that just led to my team absolutely sweeping the floor with the armor, sword, and shield boss fight. It was easy. After we absolutely demolished the dragon, we arrived to the final boss of the run. Dark Lord, second option. Here we frickin' go. And here it is, the final boss of the run. And honestly, it's not bad. It is not bad at all. I did some mega fires and I hypered my team. And with the mage's horseplay and the hyper attacks, once the hyper wore off, I realized that 3/4 of his HP were already down. How that even happened, I have no idea, but it happened. So, cool, I guess? And then he did the, oh, I'm sorry, did you think you were doing well? And stole Rin and Krina's face, which I would have preferred him to take Rin and Polly because, well, Krina's hyper and she has pretty good attack roll wave. But anyway, me and Polly managed to finish him. We took the imps down and then took one final hit on the Dark Lord, and with that, he's done. And that is the final hurdle of the run. And with that, we're done. I know it may seem weird, but there's literally no other hurdle in this run. Like, the hard part's done. There's nothing else. And with the Darkest Lord just not being a threat, we finished the Miitopia Nuzlocke. And that's it. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.